Okay, welcome class. Today we will be talking about the central idea or the thesis statement for this lecture. So going back in our books, we're going to review just a couple of things which will help us develop this thesis statement, and that will in turn help you with the research that you've already been doing for this first project in order to deliver and actually put together an effective outline for your presentation. So starting out with, I have up here GP, the general purpose. What do we know about the general purpose?
What are you trying to do? Is the purpose of your paper?
The general purpose definition when we lectured on general purpose.
To inform or persuade or anything.
Okay, so we know it is the relationship with your audience, whether it's to inform, persuade, or entertain. You only have one general purpose. And for this first project, we know all you're doing is you're expanding the audience's knowledge about something, which means it's an informative presentation. So now that we know what our relationship with the audience will be, the next thing that you have already done was develop the specific purpose statement or the objective. And in your book, it says it's what you want your audience to be able to do by the end of a presentation, which is what is called a behavioral objective. You've already done this. We did this in our last class period, and I know it's been a while since we had the extended weekend and the snow day. But in your notebooks, what do we know about a specific purpose? What do we need in this statement?
You want to inform your target audience and then your theme and your goals.
Perfect. Okay, so we know that it's the general purpose, which was to inform your target audience is you. And then your theme, your goals. And that's when we took information from the informative chapter and we considered, what are we talking about? Are we talking about your people, places, or things? Are we talking about an issue, a condition, a process? And we use that in order to more clearly define what our goal or theme was. So we've already done this. You already have this written out, and it's good. As far as where you're at right now, if you're going to tweak it, you aren't absolutely committed to this statement, and I know that, and you know that. It's not perfect, but what we have is a direction at this point. And an example in this class that I used was about castles in Ireland. So that was what I was talking about. I will inform the class about the key castles in Ireland. That was our example that we used in here. It has all those three things. From that statement, we develop a central idea. And actually, this is where I'm going to use the example from your book to show how you can write this in different ways. So if I could have somebody read the specific purpose statement on page 263 in our BB and IB textbook. Let's kind of get that out in the open.
Do you want me to read it?
Sure.
Okay. At the end of my speech, the audience will be able to explain 2 reasons foreign language education should begin in the elementary grades.
Okay, so you see they developed it as a behavioral objective. By the end of this presentation, the audience will be able to name 2 things about why children should learn foreign languages. So they did a nice job in creating that. We know exactly what to expect. That's the objective. A central idea is a little different than a specific purpose, but they're related and they're interrelated. So if somebody could look at the definition of central idea or thesis statement, could you read that out loud for me?
A definitive point about a topic.
Okay, all right, and that's exactly what it is. It's one sentence, it's declarative, and it summarizes everything within whatever you're doing. So it could be your speech, it could be a paper, so we can take this outside of this class. It could be the outline, is what we're doing here. You okay?
Yeah, my phone just fell.
So a central idea is one statement, but it's different from this specific purpose because we're not talking about the audience over here, and this is already assumed, whatever we're going to do. So you're going to see maybe a directional thesis or central idea, let's say if it's a persuasive presentation. By the way, just like specific purpose uses the word objective or behavioral objective, and those words are used interchangeably, the same is true for a central idea or a thesis statement. So you can hear those two different words around. I don't know why they have different words for the same thing. Just know when you go from place to place, when somebody says, what's your central idea, maybe in the business world, they're actually saying a thesis statement. That's maybe more common in the writing world, but we see that here in our books as well. How we create this thesis statement is we make sure that it's declarative, it's related to the specific purpose, and one thing I commonly do is I suggest that students take the end of their specific purpose statement and they complete it as a sentence, knowing the research that they already have. So in your book, well, actually, let's first talk about the castles in Ireland, and then we'll use the example in your book. In the book, in my example, if I'm to say the castles in Ireland for the first part of this sentence, I know that I have to finish this sentence with something else. So if I were to say the castles in Ireland are important to this culture because of something.
The importance of Ireland castles and
are important to the history of this culture, something like that. So you could do that, and that's a single declarative statement. And so what I would expect within your outline or your presentation or your report would be everything that had to do with what I just said. Now there's a couple of different ways to write this. So if I can have somebody reread the specific purpose that we just talked about in our books, and then we'll move on to reading the central idea. I want to demonstrate how this can be done differently.
At the end of my speech, the audience will be able to explain 2 reasons foreign language education should begin in the elementary grade.
Okay. And then go ahead and read the central idea for us.
Foreign language education should begin in the elementary grades.
Okay, so we see that declarative statement, we see the interrelationship, but there's a different way you could write this. So if you've taken our classes here in English 1010 class, you probably looked at some of the textbooks and listened to your professors, and they've said, when I see in a specific purpose or an objective, you're going to say there are 2 things. I expect to see those 2 things within your central idea. And that's called using logical divisions. And your book talks a little bit about logical divisions, but they didn't use it in that example in order to blend that into their thesis statement. And that's what I want to demonstrate here. That's what I know that we teach here at the college. That's what English 1010 will show you how to create a thesis statement. So you're actually writing your main points within the central idea. So how many of you does that feel comfortable to you? You've learned how to write your thesis statement like this. Yeah, and so if you've taken that English 1010, that's how they'll teach you. That's fine. So if we were to tweak this, tweak what they have in the book, we would say foreign language education for children is important for these 2 reasons.
one, it's easy to learn when you are young, and second one, it helps in the future.
So, did you hear that? 2 things. I would expect those 2 things within your outline. That's correct. Plus the way your book wrote it is correct as well. If you do say something in your objective that says, I'm going to talk about these 2 things, I personally want to see those 2 things in your central idea. So that's what I would want you just to kind of take it a step up from what your book is demonstrating in here. Are there any questions about how to develop the statement?